I would like to acknowledge that this video is being filmed on the traditional lands of the Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander or First Nations people who may be watching this video today. Hi everyone. So this vlog is going to serve two purposes. The first thing is that I'm going to finish reading some of my 2021 anticipated romance releases. I have some of them on my Kindle in a folder, so I know which ones were the ones that have been sitting there waiting for me to pick them up. And I'm also going to somehow fit them into the TBR board that I picked for the Romance Takeover Weekend Readathon, which is hosted by Brie and Jen and Crystal and Riley. You know what? I wasn't initially going to do it. I was just going to read romance and not set a bingo board, but hey, I was going to do a vlog anyway, so we might as well do it. Sorry for the washing in the background, but you know, reality. So it is Friday the 14th and I'm going to start reading some of these books today. I have 5 books that I'm going to try and read and fit into the 9 board bingo board prompt that I created. So this is a build your own bingo board challenge. So I did pick all of the prompts on it to fit the 5 books. The prompts that I picked are to read a romance you didn't get to in 2021, so that's all of these books. To read a book in one sitting, which I do daily, so that's something I can just tick. There is the challenge to read a book over 400 pages. One of them is an anthology, so it has over 400 pages. In fact, it's quite a bit longer, so that's the one that I'm a little bit nervous about, but we'll get there. There is the prompt to read a second chance romance, to follow the hosts, to read a tortured hero, to read a book by a POC author, and I have 2 books that fit that category, to attend a reading sprint or live show, and I'm hoping to attend tomorrow's launch live show, so fingers crossed, we'll see, and to also read a 5-star prediction, and some of these are 5-star predictions. So you might be wondering, what are the books that I'm planning on reading? So the first one is Battle Royal by Lucy Parker. I've loved Lucy Parker's other books, and this one has just been sitting there taunting me all year. So I'm gonna read it. It's the first of 2 baking books that I have. Shame, that should have been a prompt. And then my book over 400 pages is Rake I'd Like to F by Sierra Simone, Adriana, Herrera, Joanna, Shupe, etc. All, there's like 5 authors, I think. And this is a follow-up from the Duke I'd Like to F anthology from 2020. It's over 600 pages, but they're short stories, so we'll attempt to read it. I'd also really like to read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This covers the second chance romance prompt as well as the POC author prompt, and I've heard nothing but good things. It could also possibly fit for my 5-star prediction because I've heard nothing but good things about it. I also have the Mixtape by Brittainy Cherry. Again, this one would fit the POC author as well as the, you know, the generic romance you didn't read in 2021. I've heard good things about this one as well, so fingers crossed. And the final one that I have is Make It Sweet by Kristen Callihan, who I adore, and I have friends who have also recommended this. Oh, I should have done the friends recommended it, but anyway, whatever. That one is either a 2021 romance or a 5-star prediction or something like that. So those are the books that I'm planning on reading over the next couple of days in this vlog. Thank goodness for holidays. So I just started 7 Days in June and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I don't know if we get dual perspective in this book, but we're following Eva's perspective. Eva is an erotic romance author. She writes erotic paranormal romance stories featuring a black vampire and a black witch, I believe. And she's been doing it since she was a teen. She's a single mum. Her daughter is, I think, 12 in the present day in the book. And we know that Eva has a chronic illness, although it hasn't specifically been said which one yet. So I'll let you know when I find out what it is. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very witty. It's very easy to read. And we've just got to a point where Eva's found out that her agent has gotten her onto a literary panel that is being hosted by black authors to talk about the state of the black author. And she's kind of reluctant to do it because she doesn't see herself in that vein of, I don't want to say serious author because she's an author and she's, you know, got a long running series, but she doesn't see herself in the same class as some of the other panelists. And Cece, who is her agent and best friend, goes, no, you can do this. And you want to do this because you want your daughter to believe that you took risks. And she's, you know, right, which is great. So now we're about to do a flashback. So we're going from the current day to 2004, I believe. So I'll keep you posted. I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, so I just finished 7 Days in June and I absolutely loved it. It is that really cool cross between women's fiction and romance, but there is very definitely a romance in here, but you're not just getting the 2 points of view of the hero and the heroine in this one, you're also getting side characters dipping in and out to tell various parts of the story. And it really is that time jump between the relationship Eva and Shane had as teenagers, which was incredibly volatile, and I'll go through some content warnings and triggers in a minute, and their relationship in the present day. So we find out very early on that Shane is a recovering alcoholic. He's been sober for 2.5 years, and he's finally worked up the courage to come and see Eva and apologise for everything that happened when they were teenagers. And as teenagers, they were, as I said, very volatile, and they were both in really terrible places. They were doing drugs, drinking, they were self-harming, so there is, you know, trigger warnings in here for cutting and also other forms of self-harm. But everything eventuated to a situation where one overdosed and one ended up in prison. And then they've gone on with their lives, and Shane eventually became a full-blown alcoholic. They're both writers, and his entire writing career he was writing while blackout drunk. And now that he's clean, he doesn't really know if he wants to continue writing, but he's sort of this darling because he's had these really 4 successful literary books. And then we discover that both of them have been writing about each other for years. When they reconnect, it doesn't go smoothly. It's up and down all the way to the very last page. But God, it was good. It was so good. Okay, so I am planning on at least starting the Mixtape by Brittainy Cherry tonight, although I think I might even be able to finish it. So I've just started it. I've just read the first part of it, which is really tragic because we have Oliver, who is a musician, with his brother Alex, and they're celebrating the launch of the most recent track. And Oliver is an introvert and doesn't really like those functions, so he leaves early. And his brother, who is his twin, leaves with him, and then they're in a car accident and his brother is killed. At the end of that chapter, there's a whole series of like news articles and things that are reported around the accident. And because the brother Alex was sort of the fun brother, was really social and very active, they're very critical of Oliver. I hate it. I hate that side of social media, and I hate that side of reporting. It's a tough opening to a book. Like, I knew it was coming because I knew that the hero's brother had died, but ugh. Yeah, words. Slightly emotional wreck. So I did finish reading the Mixtape by Brittainy Cherry, and it, you know, I had all of the content trigger warnings for the last book. I'm like, no, this one's not going to have it near as many as those. It had more. So, oh gosh, it's such a good book. But yeah, go into it expecting an emotional roller coaster. So I think I updated you after I'd read the first chapter and Oliver's brother had just died. Anyway, he's in a really, really bad place. And his current girlfriend is an absolute nightmare. She's also a performer, and she does some truly, truly horrible things to leverage Oliver's grief to further her career in this book. So be aware of that going into it. But she's not in it for very long. Months after his brother passes away, Oliver is supposed to be doing a solo performance to try and get back onto the scene, and he ends up not showing up. And that's when he crosses paths with Emery, who is a single mum with a 5-year-old, and she is in desperate need of the job that she has working at this bar. And as it turns out, this little hole in the wall place is where Alex holes up when he bails from his concert. And then he ends up getting into a fight with some of the people who had paid money to go to the concert, and he is drunk off his ass. And in the end, Emery kicks everyone out of the bar and takes him home because she can't get out of him where he lives. And he just lets him crash. And he doesn't remember anything that he did when he wakes up the next morning, except that Emery was kind to him when he was just an emotional wreck. And then later on, he finds out that because of everything that happened and the fact that Emery kicked people out of the bar and didn't close up properly and whatever because she was worried about him, and she's a huge fan of him and his brother and their music, but she loses the job. And in the end, he offers her a job as the cook for him at his home, and they begin to get to know each other. She becomes a really fixed staple in his home. She's just this positive, bright light, and oh my gosh, the little girl is just adorable and a sweetheart, and her interactions with Oliver are hilarious. The whole thing is just an emotional roller coaster from start to finish. Be aware of that going into it. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in this book, not just Oliver's stuff, but stuff with Emery's family. She and her parents are not close. They were extremely religious. They belittled her every day, and we find out why later on. And she was close to her sister Sammy, but her sister Sammy basically left, and they don't communicate as much as they do now. And we know that there's something going on there, and we know it has to do with something to do with around the time that Reese, Emery's daughter, was born. It's so worth picking up, but be in a good headspace when you do. So the content warnings in this one, obviously you have death of a twin. There is also the mention of rape off page. There's a lot to do with the flip side of fame. So what happens when a negative story goes out and how the media and publicity run with that. There's a lot of money issues at the start of the book, particularly for Emery, because she's a single mum doing all of this on her own, and she's really struggling to make ends meet, but she's doing the absolute best job she can. And there's a lot to do with anxiety and managing that. There's some really great scenes in there with a counsellor working with various characters as well, and total toxic relationships with Emery's parents. They're just, oh God, they're awful. They are so awful. But now I think I'm going to stop and I'm going to do something a little bit lighter, because I was not expecting to read 2 very heavy books today. My life. Good morning. I just filmed a what's on my TBR cart video, so everything is set up in the living room where everything is clearly a mess. And I do have the studio lights on, so I'm getting massive glare. But anyway, I have filmed the TBR cart video. I'm going to just move this way out of the glare, and I've also filmed the books beside my bed video. The live show opening for the readathon is happening soon, so I'm going to jump on for that. I need to make something to eat, or at least drink. I think I'm going to do a smoothie, and then tidy up the mess and hopefully edit some videos today and do a lot of reading. That's all I've got planned. I didn't end up going to Pilates this morning. I cancelled my class that I was attending because I have discovered a ginormous bruise on my leg. I can't remember if I said that last night. And I was not entirely convinced that I would not burst into tears if I accidentally knocked it while doing class on the reformer. So I figured it was better safe than sorry, and just let my body get over itself and its issues at the minute. Because yeah, I'm a walking disaster, and I think I just need to take it easy. I'm a terrible vlogger. This has coconut water, spinach, apple, pineapple, ice, some ginger. If you've seen any of my vlogs before, I've made variations of this, but it's in the new Vitamix, which makes it super smooth. So we're all fully aware that I'm terrible at updating these vlogs. So I started Make It Sweet by Kristen Callihan, and I'm loving it. Again, another angsty contemporary romance story, but oh my God, what the hell is my hair doing? No matter what length my hair is, this never grows longer and it sticks up everywhere. Okay, moving on. So Make It Sweet is fantastic. You have Lucian, who is an ex-hockey player who's had one too many concussions and is no longer able to play, and is devastated by that because it's a huge part of his identity, and his fiance walks out on him afterwards. And you have Emma, who is an actress on a very popular fantasy TV series and has just found out that her character is being killed off at the end of the next season, and she finds out in the reading of the episode. Meanwhile, Lucian has gone back to live with his grandmother, who owns an estate and has guest houses there, and she informs him that Emma is coming to stay there as well because she needs a place to rest and heal and just sort of find herself again. And he's rather grumpy because his grandmother Amelie is very clearly trying to matchmake. It's just so good because he's trying to avoid Emma. Emma is really attracted, like they're both really attracted to each other. And you have Amelie, who is this awesome meddling grandmother figure, and then you have Sal, who is Amelie's stylist and who is awesome and queer and has the best fashion. It's just great. So I'm really loving it. I'm about 24% of the way in. I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I think I'm going to go and buy some snacks from the supermarket because some friends and I are going to buddy watch The Eternals tonight, maybe, to cheer ourselves up. And I want to finish Make It Sweet and at least start Battle Royale tonight, so I will keep you posted. So something really interesting has just come up in the book, and it's not something that I see talked about very often. So there's a moment where Emma thinks Lucian's going to hit her and he's not, but she has that reaction to it, and we find out later on that her father used to hit her. That was the way he disciplined. The interesting thing that I liked about this, because, you know, this is a heavily gendered topic, but Lucian tells a story about a big guy being physically abused by his female partner, and we don't often get that flip side. And the point of the conversation is to highlight that physical abuse is not about strong versus weak. It's about mentally controlling the other person. But I'm just so glad that that is in this book, because quite often we don't get that side of it either, and it's important. Like, it's not one-sided. It might be heavily weighted in one direction, but it's not one-sided at all. Yeah, and it took me by surprise, but I'm really glad it went there. I mean, I love Kristen Callihan anyway. She does amazing things in her books. I realised I didn't show you some mail that came in over the last 24 hours. So my review copy of Fall of the Argosi by Sebastien de Castell came in. This is the second book in the prequel trilogy, I think, or I don't know if it's a duology. It's probably the only young adult fantasy series that I'm actively still reading and reviewing, because I actually really love the characters in it, and I love the book covers of all the books in this series. They just make me happy. They look like playing cards. I'm very excited to have this. This came out on the 5th of January, but my copy took a little while to get to me. And if you've seen some of my other vlogs, you know that I have a Teacher Co subscription. I in fact have two of them. One is the Teacher Box. So this is the sticker subscription for January. So there's a little vinyl sticker that says Teach, Love, Inspire. It is raised. It's very cool. I'll probably add it to my laptop. Probably not supposed to add stickers to my laptop case, because, you know, it's a work laptop, but hey, I need to know which one's mine, and everyone's got the same case because we all have work laptops. There are also these term and week stickers. This will be cool. I have a planner that my teaching partner and I are going to be using, so we might use these to mark the weeks. And then these are the stickers. So there are these wonderful, what are they? Poppet things? I don't know. There's Your Work is Magical, Love Your Efforts, Your Work is Poppin'. There is the You Clever Cookie stickers. These ones I really like. Your Next Steps. There are these socks. Whoa, you've blown my socks off. And then we have these ones. Well done. These are very cute. The only thing I wish about these stickers is that I wish that they came as a sheet of 24, because I think, what do we have? 3, 6, 9, 12. So we have 18. And I always have at least 21 kids. Actually, no, I would, like, even one more row of 3, and I'd be thrilled. But that's okay. I will find a way to make it work. Alright, so I did finish Make It Sweet by Kristen Callihan, and I really loved it. It did get kind of dramatic and angsty towards the end, contemporary romance, that sort of thing, but I just loved Lucian and Emma, and I liked their relationship, and I liked how invested they were in each other, and I liked all the characters that they had around them as well. That were just, I just want to give them all a hug. Also, so much talk about pastries in this book. Don't read this if you don't have pastries on hand, because that will not end well for you. But yes, now I think I'm going to start Battle Royale before I end up watching Eternals tonight, apparently. I will keep you posted. Okay, so I can't actually remember what I said about Battle Royale. Oh my god, I keep saying the name wrong. Battle Royale. Anyway, so it's the story of Sylvie and Dominic, and they met when Sylvie was a contestant on a baking show where Dominic was one of the judges, and he is typically known for being the harsh judge, and he has very specific things that he likes, mostly white, various shades of white, and occasionally cream, I think Sylvie states at the start. And she is over the top. She loves colour, she loves glitter, she loves making awesome creations. And then we flash forward 4 years, and Sylvie now has her own cake shop across the road from Dominic's. They're competitors, but she has just been given a judging position on the same baking show alongside Dominic. And they're also competing for the chance to make the wedding cake for a royal wedding. And along the way, a whole lot of other things happen. There's a bit of a royal scandal going on. Someone is stealing recipes and ideas from Sylvie's bakery, and it's all very intriguing. but I really loved Sylvie and Dominic. They were just gorgeous once they, you know, once Dominic got over himself a little bit, but it was nice and I enjoyed it. So far this reading vlog has been a decent success because I've loved all the books. So I am going to go to bed now, but tomorrow I will be starting and hopefully finishing Duke I'd Like to F. Oh my gosh. This is why you don't vlog really late at night or early in the morning. It's not Duke I'd Like to F, it's Rake I'd Like to F. That's what I'm reading tomorrow. I really need to go to bed. Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. I am about to start the anthology Rake I'd Like to F, which has all the various authors. I'm going to go through each individual novella and tell you things about it as I read, so we'll just put my hopelessly underprepared self off to the side for the moment. But the way that I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to read a novella, edit a video, read a novella, edit a video. This is going to be my reward because I've got a stack of things I need to edit, and we were supposed to have the Kate Daniels live show today, but we've had to postpone it just because as hosts we've got things going on, so we will be rescheduling that at some point. So I have my Sunday all to myself. It is very sunny outside. It has been very hot in here. I've had the air conditioner going since about 9 o'clock this morning. It is now, I don't know, what time is it? Nearly 11. I have already edited and uploaded today's Books Beside My Bed video, so that's already ready to go, but I have a picture book rec, I have my morality chain video, I also have a TBR cart video. I think I showed you guys that I was filming that yesterday. Anyway, I want to get those edited today, hopefully, because that will essentially mean that the only video that I have to edit this week is this vlog, which is great. So yeah, I'm going to edit, read, since I've got a whole stack of novellas to read. I also have to do the dishes and tidy up around here a little bit, but it's going to be a lazy Sunday. I'm going to read the first novella in this collection, which is Sierra Simone's one. It is called The Last Crimes of Peregrine Hind. I have no idea what it's going to be about, except that this one seems to be set in 1710. Okay, so The Last Crimes of Peregrine Hind is a captor-captive historical romance. You have Peregrine Hind, who is a highwayman who was a soldier, only to come home and find that his entire family is dead, and that the Duke of the land on which their property was is responsible in part for that death, and so he takes to the life of the highwayman in revenge. And then one night he's finally about to take his revenge and kill the Duke when he pulls over a carriage, and inside is the Duke's brother, who he takes prisoner and is going to ransom. And Alexander is a character. He's the one who tries to get Peregrine to kidnap him and ransom him in order to save his life, and he keeps trying to escape, and he really likes being tied up, and it was just really fun. So it is it is between Peregrine and Alexander, and there is some other stuff in there about the dukedom and a second kingdom that lives within that kingdom. But yeah, it was interesting, right? So I just scheduled my picture book recommendation video for next week, which means it's time for another novella. This one is Two Rakes for Mrs. Sparkwell by Eva Leigh. Or Ava Leigh. I always say it wrong. Anyway, I really like her books, so I'm looking forward to this one. So I decided to throw together a weird dinner. Now, I haven't updated you on the book because I've still got one novella left, and I just decided to do an update at the end. But I thought I would show you my very hodgepodge dinner. Like, literally, I just threw random things in. I was aiming to make chili con carne, but I didn't have everything that I needed. So this is my weird chili con carne mix, which is basically the mincemeat. I didn't have all of the spices because I just realized I ran out of chili, but I did have a whole stack of homemade taco seasoning, so I threw that in because that's close enough, right? And there's chickpeas and red kidney beans and broccoli, because I had broccoli in the fridge that I needed to use up, and a can of tomatoes. So I'll add some rice in a little while, but I'm just going to let it sit and continue cooking for probably another 15 minutes, and then I will have dinner. A full page of notes for one anthology. Okay, so I have finished Rake I'd Like to F, and that means I read 4 novellas since the last time I updated you guys. I'm gonna have to look at the notes. I showed you them. That's the only way I'm gonna remember any of this. I think though, of all the stories in the collection, my favorite was Joanna Shupe's, which kind of surprised me, to be honest, because I think hers was one of my least favorite last time. It's really surprising to me because she's in a collection with Sierra Simone, and normally Sierra Simone tops all of my lists, but no, I think I liked the last one the best. Anyway, so I talked about Sierra Simone's novella. The next one after that was Ava Leigh's, and that one was Two Rakes for Mrs. Sparkwell, and this was an MFM polyamorous relationship. This one was between a widow who is really caught in a bind because her stepson is planning on marrying her off to the next person because her father and her previous husband, who had died, had basically put in a stipulation that she could be married off to the first person who offered for her hand if she was ever made a widow, which is maddening. So she goes off to be ruined. So she puts herself in the path of a notorious rake. His name is Rush. She basically confronts him in a gambling hell, and he sets out helping her to ruin her good name. And along the way, she finds out that he occasionally shares women with his friend and like local bouncer Jack, and the three get involved. Next one was A Rake, His Patron and Their Muse, and this one was by Nicola Davidson, who I also really like. I think she's a New Zealand author. And this one was another polyamorous relationship. This one was MMF, so it is a relationship between all three of them. You have Lennox, who is a playwright, and his patron is the son of a duke. A son of a duke, I think. Anyway, his name is John, and John is secretly a submissive, and he has a huge crush on Lennox, who frequently organizes orgies and leaves John usually to do the cleanup after the parties when he's had enough. And the two of them go away because Lennox is having a really hard time penning his next play, and they go off to the country, and there they meet Viola, who is working as a servant for her cousins. She's also a widow, and both men like her, she likes them, and it was super steamy. Nicola Davidson does write super steamy stories. That's probably my second favourite one from the collection. And then there's Adriana Herrera's one, which was Monsieur X, which is a historical romance between Joseph, who is a portrait artist, and he's currently in Paris and painting portraits for the wealthy, and at nighttime he frequents a very exclusive BDSM kink club in Paris. And the first night that he goes there, he meets someone called X, who is a submissive, and Joseph is very dominant, and they have this moment, and Joseph is infatuated with him, and then their paths cross, and it turns out that X is the son of his mother's best friend. He's Lord Maximus. He is an engineer. He's in Paris to help build the Eiffel Tower, and he's also there to have his portrait painted by Joseph, and it's them sorting out their relationship and how they can go about it. And then finally, Joanna Shupe's story is Sold to the Duke, and this is about Eliza, who was a lady, but her brother died and there was no provision for her or her sister, and so the person who took over her family's estates, a cousin, basically turned them out. And so for the last 5 years they've been living in Shoreditch, and she's been working, and her sister is quite ill and she needs to raise some money, so she decides to sell her virginity at a sex auction. And essentially this is a place where for 7 days she can be bought and paid for, and then she'll walk away with a decent amount of money. She'll be able to get her sister the help that she needs. However, on the night of the auction, her brother's best friend happens to be in the crowd, and when he realizes who she is, he ends up bidding for her and winning her. And he didn't do it because he wanted to sleep with her. He did it because he didn't realize that she had been thrown out without any money after her brother's death, and she refuses to take his money unless they sleep together, and so she sets about seducing him. This one was a great dynamic. I love brother's best friend or sibling's best friend tropes. I think it's really fun, and she's also really smart. The thing that they bonded over when she was younger, when he would visit while visiting with her brother, was maths, and it was great. I loved that addition to it. So that is the end of my participation in the Romance Takeover Readathon. I read 5 things for all of my bingo board prompts, so this was the bingo board that I had, and this is the bingo board filled in. I started off with 7 Days in June, then I read the Mixtape, then I read Make It Sweet and Battle Royal, and then the anthology Rake I'd Like to F, and I had a great time. I think it was fairly successful because 4 of these books were the equivalent of 5-star reads for me, which is amazing. and I quite enjoyed all of the books. None of them were less than a 4-star read, which is great. So yes, I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you to all the hosts, etc. And I will be continuing to read romance, but I've also got some other things and other genres that I need to read in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. But yes, thank you for watching. If you were participating in the readathon, feel free to let me know what you were reading throughout the weekend in the comments. Otherwise, feel free to leave your favorite sweet treat emoji in the comments if you just want to let me know that you're here. I hope that you are doing really well, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.